One newspaper article in particular described an anniversary party thrown for the prophet at their home on Graham Street, which included music, contests, and plenty of guests. The newspaper listed almost 50 familiar names, not including their children or the additional guests they brought with them when they showed up uninvited. This was far more people than I could fit in my tiny apartment, even if people stood in rows, side to side and front to back. The more I researched, the more I realized that things were quite different than we were told. The prophet used to talk about his first wife's death during the 1937 flood. He'd say, "There is where my sorrow started." Learning that Hope Branham died several months after the flood raised many more questions. The prophet told an adventurous story of how he fought the raging floodwaters by boat to get to her hospital, but the waters would have receded long before her death. His gut-wrenching tale described scenes from his journey to visit his wife as she lay dying were simply untrue. He said, "I pulled and it wouldn't start. I pulled again and it wouldn't start. And I tried. I got down in the boat and I said, 'God, it isn't but a few more jumps down here till I would sink beneath those falls there,' where they were roaring and bubbling, miles of water stretching through there. I said, 'I got a sick wife and 2 babies lying there in the hospital.' I said, 'Please, dear God, start this motor.' All I could think, I will never let my girl go out with a bunch of that trash." And I can say, with all due respects to every church, I found out what she called trash is the cream of the crop. I was coming to terms that I could no longer rely on his life story accounts as being historically accurate. Many parts of his descriptions of those accounts no longer made sense to me, and some events simply could never have happened as he described them. Yet it was hard to deny that the death of his wife and daughters would have had an impact on his life. It would have had an impact on any person who endured such a tragedy. That part of his tale I still believed, but I could find no evidence that it had any effect on the young prophet, at least based on the historical timeline for 1936 through 1938.